Hello, my loves. Happy Monday, and welcome to another edition of the weekly Astro Forecast here in the Astro Room live on YouTube. I am your host and your favorite astrologer, Mel of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. So, if this is our first time meeting, welcome. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. So, this channel is everything astrology, spirituality, and manifestation. So, if those are the things you like, if those are the things you love, if those are the things you want to learn more about, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so you'll always be notified when I come out with new content. All right, my love. So this is going to be the weekly astro forecast for the week of September 18th through 24th, 2023. All right, my loves. So new week, new season, new energy. Okay, so we are ushering in Libra season this week. So we are unfortunately going to be saying goodbye to Virgo season and all of the beautiful Virgo energy that it brings. But like I said, new season, new energy, and emphasis on new. There's going to be a lot of very interesting energy. And I say interesting because as I was preparing for this live, this Libra season is very much about divine justice. Okay. There's going to be a lot of rebalancing of the scales in a very profound and dynamic sort of way, especially when it comes to relationships. Okay. So relationships have been a very important topic. It's been a topic that's really been at the forefront of our thoughts, whether we've been cognizant of it or not. And that's due in part to Venus being in Leo for so long and Venus having gone retrograde for 40 days and 40 nights, right? So Venus is no longer retrograde. However, Venus is still in Leo. And Venus is the ruler of Libra, right? So with this heavy emphasis on relationships by virtue of Venus being in Leo, and now the sun is going to be moving into the sign of Libra that is ruled by Venus. That theme of relationships is going to be ramping up. Now, Venus will finally leave Leo in October, right? Sort of at the midway point through Libra season. And one of the things that I think that Venus is going to do before it leaves Leo is really start to put things into place when it comes to certain relationships. When it comes to relationships generally, right? So the message that I got was that Libra season is going to be a season of divine justice. Like, again, the scales are going to be rebalanced. Now, when it comes to relationships, many of us have gotten to the point where we've gotten very clear on what it is that we want and what it is that we don't want. And I feel like that is due in part to Venus in Leo and Venus having gone retrograde in Leo, right? Fine. However, it's almost like we're at this juncture where the universe is like, I've just been waiting for you to decide what it is that you want. And once you make that decision, things are going to start to move very quickly, right? I think that Libra season is going to see two things, and these two things are going to be at either ends of the spectrum, all right? And it all has to do with relationships. On the one end, we're going to see people coming into really beautiful relationships very quickly. I feel like you're going to see people who are finding their match. And I'm not even saying their match like, oh, their type or whatever. I'm talking about their energetic match. Like wherever you're vibrating, however, whatever frequency you're on, I feel like people are going to be matched up very quickly. And these things are going to come together. It's almost going to blow your mind how quickly some of these relationships form and solidify, right? And then on the other end in the spectrum, you're going to see a lot of relationships just deteriorating, right? Because the way that everything is set up cosmically, the way that the Earth's vibration is elevating and ascending, a lot of these relationships that have been formed on faulty ground, shaky ground, superficiality, they just cannot survive this energetic environment that we're in right now. So you're going to see a lot more divorces, a lot more breakups. Like you're just going to see a lot of people just, and with the quickness too, like probably some of your favorite celebrity couples, people that maybe you thought had like the best relationship, or people that seem to have the relationship that's like a relationship goals on the internet. You're going to see all of that disintegrate if it's not an energetic match. right? If you're not in a relationship that really reflects who you truly are, what's really in your heart, a lot of that is going to disintegrate. And again, it's because of this divine justice. We're at a juncture where it's either shit or get off the pot, right? I feel like if you're in that middle ground where you're like, I'm not so sure what I want, like you are going to have to, hop off the fence and choose a side. Okay. This is a time for decision making. I feel like this Libra season, although Libra energy is very well known for being indecisive, I feel like this is not going to be the Libra season where you don't want to know what you want. It's like Venus in Leo, especially as Venus went retrograde, gave you ample opportunity, whether it was the opportunity to really think about things or whether, you were encountering people or situations that were showing you where you are in terms of your romantic life, right? You've had ample opportunity to think about it, to figure it out. And Venus having, gone direct and now getting ready to leave Leo during Libra season is like, listen, now is the time. Like, get your shit together, figure out what you want to do because the universe is about to deliver it, and quick, fast, and in a hurry. So much so that I feel like people are going to be like, your head is going to spin at just how quickly either you're in a relationship and it's working and it's great and it's an energetic match, or you realize that your relationship is not what you want. And before you know it, boom, it's over. And now you have this new beginning. But regardless, everyone is going to have this surge of new energy, right? This new beginning kind of energy, this wanting to take the leap, right? Some people I feel like are finally in touch with who they are and living authentically. And now they're ready to sort of take their authentic selves out for a spin and, start encountering people who really match who they truly are. So it's this energy of rebirth kind of for a lot of people. Okay. Now, also the last thing I'll say about this is that for some, you may feel like when it comes to your romantic life that you've been on a hamster wheel, right? Or you've been trying to manifest, the perfect partner, or maybe you've been dating a lot, or maybe you've been in a relationship and it hasn't gone to the next level. Spirit is like, listen, you've got to persevere just a little bit more. This isn't the time to just sit back and be like, well, whatever happens, happens. Like, this is the time to make a decision in terms of what it is that you truly want in a relationship, and keep your energy in alignment with what you want. Just because it's not showing up yet doesn't mean that your standards are too high, or maybe you need to revamp what you're looking for in a partner. No, this is the time to be like, listen, this is what I want. This is my criteria. This is my energy, the energy I'm putting out. This is the energy that I'm trying to receive back from a partner. Keep that same energy. Do not waver. Do not give up. Don't feel like it's not going to happen, because trust and believe, I feel like things are going to happen a lot quicker than you anticipate. And for some, this may be a little jarring, right? For some, it's like you've been spending years trying to manifest someone. All of a sudden they show up and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not ready. Spirit is like, listen, isn't that what you asked for? So get ready. Be ready so you don't have to get ready. All right. So that's basically what the energy is like right now. And it's so interesting because, of course, Libra season has everything to do with relationships. But the way that this message came through, it's almost like spirit and the universe, they're not playing right now. There's this energy of, it's a sense of urgency that I feel, number one. And number two, it's just like the scales have been tipped in the wrong direction for too long. Like, it's really go time. It's really time for things to really start to settle and balance. And we're at a point right now where the world needs more love. And I know that sounds super corny, but it's true. If you look at everything that's going on, like, love is the highest frequency of all. And the universe and spirit is like, listen, I can't keep having all of these low vibrational relationships, people, making decisions out of fear or obligation and not really tapping into their heart space. So for some, Libra season may show you, or may be a continuation of working on your heart chakra, working on relationship issues, but it's not the case where you're going to be where you have to be healed in order for your relationship to come in. For many people, the healing is going to be done with your partner. So it's almost like you just got to get the wheel going. And then before you know it, like your partner is going to come through, and then both of you are just going to be moving forward, healing each other, healing yourselves, healing the world. Like this is real. Like this is go time right now when it comes to relationships. So needless to say, a very interesting Libra season. All right. So I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully you are too. But again, it's all about perseverance. This isn't a time for you to be like, well, I don't know. Or, I've been at this for so long. It's not going to happen. Spirit is like, listen, I need you to get with the program, because this is what we're doing right now. So figure out what it is that you want. And don't be afraid either. If anything, Venus in Leo has taught us that we don't have to be afraid of what we want. We don't have to be afraid of addressing what's really in our hearts. We don't have to be afraid of thinking that we're not going to have the romantic life that we want. And so act like it. Right? And I know sometimes that's easier said than done, but act like it. Like you don't have to be afraid. Like this is the time for you to really live out loud. So I was watching a video from one of my favorite spiritualists. Her name is Erin Lyons. And in the last couple of weeks, she's been talking a lot about twin flames and soulmates and all of that. And the other day she was talking about her particular story. And she was talking about how, she was guided to get out of a long-term relationship and start dating again. And she was also guided to, do online dating. And in doing that, she was like, I'm not sure if I want to let people know that I like channel source and do light language and I'm a psychic and all that stuff, because that could scare people away. But she was like, no, like it's time for me to have my energetic match. So whatever it is that you do, whatever it is that you are, now is the time to be that and exude that. And trust and believe you will find your match. There is a pot. There's a lid for every pot, right? So you don't have to feel like, if you feel like you have to hide parts of yourself, if you feel like you have to tone down parts of yourself, if you feel like I'm too much, I shouldn't laugh as loudly, or I shouldn't be myself, this is not the time to do that. Especially if you're trying to get into a relationship or take a relationship to the next level. Now is the time for authenticity. Whoever you are, let that shine and you will find your match. All right. So again, very interesting times that we're in. Okay. So let's see. Let's see what this comment is right here. It would scare the people away that should be scared. But exactly. That's exactly what's going on right now. Like you've got to weed out who is not for you. And the thing with Venus and Leo is that it's all about having the courage to follow your heart. Following your heart and being authentic, a lot of times it does take courage, because we live in a society that conditions us to be a certain way, to want certain things. And if we're going left when everyone else is going right, we feel like no one's going to follow us. There's no one going to be on our path, right? And that's so not true. Think of it this way. The way that the energy is coming together, right? The last thing that you want to do is be in an inauthentic relationship, because it's only going to get worse. That's sort of the feeling that I'm getting. It's this, now is the time to really get on the right track, to get on the right path, because otherwise things are really going to go to shit in a certain sense. Okay. So again, yes, it is to weed out the people that are not for you, but most importantly, to find the people that are for you. Okay. All right. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, if you are joining me here on the live tonight, thank you so much for tuning in. I truly appreciate you. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up on your way in, and feel free to say hi in the chat, converse with each other. I love that this is growing into like this nice little community where you guys converse with each other, and it's just beautiful. I love it. So definitely keep that up. And if you're watching this on the replay, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you just as much. Hopefully you find this broadcast informative. And if you do, feel free to hit that like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell if you haven't already. All right. So if you are someone that is interested in your horoscope, but you don't know where to find it, or the stuff online is just not hitting right for you, consider subscribing to my text service, where you will get your horoscope texted to you every Monday morning. And people seem to really love it. It's really accurate. I've gotten really great feedback from it. So if you are interested, okay, that's not showing up. There we go. Text ZODIAC to the number 855-826-5544. That information will be in the description box below. Again, you'll get your weekly horoscope texted to you every Monday morning. All right. And also, if you are someone that is new to astrology and you have absolutely no idea what's going on, or you've started studying astrology and you're a bit overwhelmed because you realize that it's a lot to take in, I got you covered. I created this thing called the Astrology Basics Cheat Sheet, which basically gives you the quick and dirty on everything you need to know to start studying astrology. Mainly the 4 pillars of astrology, which are the planets, the houses, the zodiac signs, and the aspects. So it's an 11-page PDF document that gives you the quick and dirty on all of these topics, right? Because regardless what anyone says or doesn't say, astrology is definitely a science. And like any science, it requires a good deal of study. So I created this cheat sheet to help you start studying. All right. And if you're interested in getting that link will be in the description box below. All right. All right. So let's get into the highlights for the week and see what we've got going on. So first and foremost, we have what I like to call self-actualization. And this is going to be 2 transits involving the sun. Okay. And so whenever we talk about the sun, we're talking about our personality. We're talking about our uniqueness. We're talking about our ego. We're talking about whatever makes us shine. We're talking about our purpose. We're also talking about self-confidence, right? And self-realization. So we've got the sun opposite Neptune, and we've also got the sun trine Pluto. So we're going to be understanding different parts of ourselves this week. On the one hand, we may get clear on what perhaps our weaknesses are. We also have the ability to tap into our creativity. And then on the other end, we have the ability to tap into our personal power. Okay, so it's going to be a very eye-opening kind of week, right? Especially with these 2 sun transits. And you also may find that these transits bring issues up related to self-confidence. So whether you've got self-confidence, whether you're lacking self-confidence, I feel like that you're going to be cognizant of all of it this week. Okay. Then next up, we have what I like to call balance and equality. And this is the start of Libra season. So very much in line with that channeled message I just gave before. It's all about relationships. Libra is the relationship sign. So how we relate to others and sort of the other people around us is the focus for Libra season. So it's about finding balance in our lives, right? So you're going to want to look at where Libra is in your chart. This is where your focus is going to be this month. So let's say you've got Libra as your 4th house. That means that for Libra season, you have a focus on home, family, domestic affairs, all that good stuff, right? And that's going to be the area of life where you are going to see if you're living in extremes, right? Libra is all about balance, and balance means that there's 2 extremes. And Libra is all about finding the median, finding the balance between those extremes, right? So wherever Libra is in your natal chart is perhaps where you're going to be balancing things out in your life, okay? Now the other, sorry, I just lost my train of thought for a second. The other sort of issue or concept that Libra season brings up is the concept of reciprocity. And that basically is the same thing as balance, but it's more so when we're talking about relationships, are you equally yoked? Are your relationships equitable? Are you the same energetic signature? Are you vibing on the same wavelength, right? This is going to be something that Libra season is going to show us. And I feel like it's going to show us this in a very sort of profound way. And I went all into that with that channeled message before. And then finally, we have what I like to call healing vibes, because we've got 2 Chiron transits this week. Okay. And Chiron is known as the wounded healer. And everything about Chiron has to do with our insecurities and how we can heal them and thereby heal others. If you want to know more about Chiron, I'm going to put the link to a very informative video I did on Chiron in the description box below. So definitely check that out. But so we're going to experience Chiron and healing in 2 different ways as well. So on the one hand, Venus is going to be trying to Chiron. So we're going to be able to attract situations or people or circumstances that allow us to heal our wounds, particularly as they relate to relationships. Okay. But then we're also going to have Mars opposite Chiron. And this is going to lead to power struggles. And so this is going to show us perhaps where we need to do more healing in terms of our self-confidence and maybe some of our, especially when it comes to our desires, right? Mars has everything to do with our desires, the things that we want, the things that we're driven for, right? When we encounter power struggles, we kind of see where our power lies and whether it lies with us or whether it lies with others. So I feel like we're going to learn a lot about power and control this week with the astrology generally, but basically with these Chiron transits. But most importantly, anytime we have Chiron, like I said before, it has everything to do with healing. So I feel like this is going to be a week where we have a realization of the wounds that need to be healed. So whatever we're still working on, whatever we're working through, whatever we're processing, I feel like there's going to be aha moments with respect to that, or it's like whatever's in our reality, it's really going to mirror back to us what we need to continue to work on or what we may need to start to work on if we haven't addressed it already. All right. So let's see what we've got going on for the week. So today we've got the moon in Scorpio. Then tomorrow on Tuesday, we've got the sun opposite Neptune, one of the first sun transits that I was talking about earlier. Then on Wednesday, we've got the moon in Sagittarius. On Thursday, we've got the second sun transit of the week, which is the sun trine Pluto. On Friday, we've got the moon in Capricorn. Then on Saturday, Libra season officially begins, and we have the first of the Chiron transits with Venus trine Chiron. Then we close the week out on Sunday with the second of the Chiron transits for the week, Mars opposite Chiron, and the moon in Aquarius. All right, so without further ado, let's get into the week. All right, my loves. So today we've got the moon in Scorpio, and you'll see that at the bottom right-hand portion of the screen. All right. Moon in Scorpio is always intense because Scorpio is like diving to the very depths of the ocean, right? Scorpio has everything to do with what we repress. Scorpio represents the underworld. So a lot of the emotions that we've repressed, a lot of the things that we've sort of shoved under the rug, emotionally speaking, tend to come up when the moon is in Scorpio. Now, the moon is in the waxing crescent phase, right? Because we just last week we had that new moon in Virgo. So we're making our way to the full moon in Aries, which is going down next week. So between this week and next week, the moon is waxing. Whenever the moon is waxing, that is when we take action steps toward the things that we want to manifest, right? It's when you are active. The moon is active, it's growing in illumination, and basically so are we. So when it comes to the moon in Scorpio, this is like being proactive about doing shadow work. It's like, if you're carrying a lot of emotional baggage, it doesn't leave room for anything new. And with this whole situation with relationships, right? Especially if you're trying to call someone in, especially if you're trying to get into a relationship, this is the time to really do that emotional cleanup work. And there's no better time to do that than when the moon is in Scorpio. So this is about figuring out why you do certain things, why you think certain things, why you feel certain things, and where those things stem from. Again, Scorpio, whether it's Scorpio season, whether it's the moon in Scorpio, it's always great for shadow work. And so that's exactly what you're going to do. And it's, like I said, I feel like we're at a juncture where things are going to start to come together very quickly. And remember I said, you want to be ready or stay ready so that you don't have to get ready. And like I said, for some, right, these partnerships that are coming in, I feel like both of you need each other in terms of healing. So you don't have to be completely healed in order to get into a relationship. However, you also don't want to be in a position where you've got a lot of emotional baggage that could adversely affect these relationships, right? You don't want to carry wounds from past relationships into whatever new is coming up, because that might derail something really beautiful, or it might just delay things, right? Whenever you've got excess emotional baggage, it's like things move a lot slower. It's like trudging through the mud, right? So Moon is in Scorpio. You definitely want to do some shadow work. You definitely want to figure out what's going on with you emotionally speaking and address it so that you can leave room for all of this newness and all of this wonderful relationship energy that I believe is coming in. All right. So that's Monday. Let's look at what we got going on tomorrow. All right, so tomorrow we've got the sun opposite Neptune. So the sun is currently in the sign of Virgo. It's at 6 degrees Virgo. You'll see that at the bottom portion of the chart. At the top portion of the chart, we've got Neptune in Pisces at 26 degrees as well. All right, so this is one of those transits that I don't know how to describe it, but it's one of those transits that can be a little upsetting. And I say that because Neptune has, especially Neptune in Pisces, everything to do with our inner world. But the sun has everything to do with our outer world, our ego, our personality, right? And so whenever we talk about Neptune, we always have to talk about dreams and fantasies. That's like the positive aspect of Neptune. The not so positive aspect of Neptune is deception, it's lies, it's illusions, it's things not being what they seem. And when you have a transit like the sun opposite Neptune, it's like you're very susceptible to delusion or deception, confusion. Things just don't seem so real, right? I think the best way to sum up this transit is that if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. This is one of those transits where people get got, where people get the wool pulled over their eyes, where you have people who, anyone who thrives on taking advantage of people, like that gets ramped up during a transit like this. So it's one of those situations where you have to be very vigilant and you have to be aware. And thankfully, I feel like the presence of the sun in this transit helps with that because the sun shines light on things. This isn't the time where you can just go automatically off what people say, right? You really have to give a lot of thought and intention to things because there's probably more under the surface, or you're going to have to read between the lines with respect to what anyone is saying. Now, the other way that this sort of transit sort of plays out is with your inner world, right? Because like I said, Neptune, especially Neptune and Pisces, has everything to do with your inner world. And so this may be where you feel extra insecure, maybe where you feel confused about things or doubtful about things. So it may be one of those transits where it's not the best time to make important decisions, to make commitments, to sign on the dotted line, because things aren't necessarily, I'm not going to say that things aren't necessarily above board. It's just that your perception of what's going on may be a little warped, whether it's because the person or the situation that's external to you is deceptive or confusing, or perhaps your inner world has you feeling insecure or confused, right? So it's best that you, again, try not to make any major decisions or commitments or anything like that. Kind of just let this particular transit pass, okay? Now, one of the things that is sort of prevalent with a transit like this is the desire to escape, right? Especially if you're feeling confused, especially if you're feeling insecure, if you're not feeling your best. Like a lot of people tend to want to escape, right? Like escape reality, whether it's through drugs, alcohol, addictive behaviors. You're going to want to not do that because that's only going to exacerbate how you're feeling. It's not going to be an actual escape because maybe you'll escape for a little bit, but those same problems, that same feeling, right, is still going to be there after you've done escapes. Okay. So it's really important that you don't engage in addictive behaviors with this particular transit. Now, also, sort of like what I said before, with this transit, you don't want to be in a position where you don't know what you want. That leaves you very susceptible to being deceived, being lied to, being confused, right? Like you want to be very clear about your intentions. And if you're someone that's in a position of power, if you're in a position where you can deceive someone, you probably don't want to do that because it's definitely going to come to bite you in the ass later on. All right. So you want to just really be intentional, right? Don't engage in things that are very emotionally triggering. I feel like that's only going to exacerbate how you feel. Avoid ego conflicts with people. Like if someone is intent on treating you a certain way, like just walk away. It's not really worth it to engage in any of this, okay? It could also have you feeling very doubtful, especially in situations that require competition or where people are especially assertive. Like it may make you cower if someone is coming at you full force or if you're in a very competitive environment. Um, Anytime you're in a competitive environment, I always feel like it's not the best thing. If you're approaching it from a place of insecurity, fear, or confusion, you probably are not going to outwin your competitors, right? So it's one of those transits where if you find that you're in these kind of situations, you're kind of just going to want to lay low. Maybe you want to retreat a little bit. I wouldn't necessarily engage again if you're coming from a place of insecurity, confusion, or anything like that, right? But in any event, this is one of those transits where you kind of just have to let the energy pass. And once it passes, you'll feel much better and you'll be able to see things a lot clearer, okay? That's one of the sort of dangers of this transit is that it warps your perception of things. So any decisions made under a transit like this may not be in your best interest. So again, you may just want to lay low, you may just want to retreat. If people are determined or committed to being very aggressive with you, like try your best to walk away or do whatever you need to do to feel okay and just let the energy pass. And once it passes, you'll definitely feel better. All right, let's keep it moving. All right. So then on Wednesday, we've got the moon moving into Sagittarius, and you will see that at the bottom left hand portion of the chart. All right. This is great. And I like this as a follow up to the sun opposite Neptune transit because whenever the moon is in Sagittarius, we tend to feel upbeat, we tend to feel optimistic, and we tend to focus on the bigger picture, especially when the moon is waxing in Sagittarius. It's like we feel motivated to work toward our goals because we sort of have faith in the process. We're optimistic with respect to the end result. And we just have this general energy of hopefulness. Okay. Um, it's also a time when you may just want to embark on an adventure where you want to be spontaneous. Remember, I said with Sun opposite Neptune, you may want to escape, right? Now, you don't necessarily want to do that with addictive behaviors. However, if you if someone spontaneously invites you somewhere that you don't normally go, or maybe you have the opportunity to just do something out of the ordinary, like the moon in Sagittarius definitely supports that. So that's a good way to sort of get out of that feeling of insecurity or fear or confusion, right? Just like do something different, broaden your horizons. But I will say, the one thing that this moon in Sagittarius will do to exacerbate that sun opposite Neptune transit is that it's definitely going to have people lying. Okay. I feel like, because the thing with the moon in Sagittarius, Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter expands things, right? So this is one of those situations where people may really try to trigger you emotionally, perhaps with a lie or overstating something in order to get what it is that they want from you or to deceive you or whatever. So while the moon in Sagittarius is good for feeling good and optimistic, it could also bring out the wolves in sheep's clothing. All right. So definitely keep that in mind. But regardless, think about what you're trying to accomplish. Okay. For instance, let's say that you have just a hellish job and you feel you've got the sun opposite Neptune is going to have you feeling insecure, or maybe if you work in a very competitive environment, you're just not feeling your best, right? I feel like you need to keep the bigger picture in mind. If you want to stay at this job, what is your goal? Are you trying to go up the corporate ladder? Are you trying to get more money? Are you trying to get a promotion? Or maybe this is just a job. Maybe this job is just a stepping stone to something else, right? Think of this something else. Think of the end result. Try not to stay too embroiled in what's going on in the moment. That's what the best use of the energy of the moon in Sagittarius is going to be like, right? It's about optimism. It's about faith. It's about seeing the bigger picture and working toward that and not paying so much attention to the granular details of what's going on right now, even though you may feel the urge to do so. Right? Because the sun is in Virgo. Virgo's all about details. So whatever's going on in your environment right now, you're really in it, right? And you're really assessing all of the details. But thankfully, the moon in Sagittarius is like you can take your eyes off the blueprint for a second and look at the bigger picture. And hopefully feel hopeful and optimistic about that bigger picture. That's going to help you get through this potentially difficult transit. All right? So that is Wednesday. Let's see what's going on for Thursday.